Hello. How are you, Carol? It's yoga time. Donna, good morning. Sharon, good morning. Stevie, good morning. Carolyn, Sue, all right. Yeah, Sue is in negative 45 Celsius. And I didn't even look up to see what that is in Fahrenheit. I just imagine that it's probably like negative 100. Which just sounds so crazy. And Sue, the pictures were amazing. Wow, I just thought that's like so amazing from a de-stressing perspective to look outside and see the vastness of the world outside your window. And so anyway, thanks for sharing that photo today. All right, isn't that crazy? Sue's up in the Yukon in Canada practicing with us. So I think that's really awesome that we can do this. Lynn, good morning. Tatiana, hello. I think you've been with me before, right? All right. So anything in particular that anybody would like to share with me, please do so. This is the first week back in 2022. I know for myself on Tuesday when I taught my osteoporosis class that I felt my posterior hip. So I don't know if any of you know what that is, but that would be the back of the hip. So right here in the glute area, I felt the back of my hip was a little worked. And so what did I do? I stretched it, and then I didn't feel that discomfort anymore. But what it did for me is so in the 3-week break that I had off of teaching 5 classes a week, I did not do 5-hour-long sessions of physical postures or anything in the week. But what I do is throughout my day, I do power moves. And I'm going to start sharing a little bit more of those starting next week. Certain moves that actually utilize lots of muscles at once and really working on the functional aspects of the body, but also on the how can I stress my bones out and tell my bones I need more from them. So that's a big part of this, is that your bones will respond to the pressure that you apply to them, to the forces that you apply to them. Donna, let me see. Oh, you felt the same. Okay, great. Wow, that's so awesome. So that means your posterior hip, right? Hi, Loretta, first time. All right. Well, Loretta, is there anything you want to tell me in particular? Like anything I should know about your body? Any issues you have, any replacement parts you have, things you need to be careful with? Because maybe I could give you a little guidance in that area. All right. Yeah, Donna. Gotta love it. So you know what I said to myself? I'm like, okay, wow, great. We worked the hips. And if I remember, let me try to remember, what did I do on Tuesday? Triangle and tree were the standing poses. We stretched the legs and we did bridge and plank. So in terms of posterior hip capsule, I'm definitely going to say that the triangle, the standing postures definitely were stimulating the hips for the class I taught on Tuesday. So we're definitely going to do some standing work today, which is going to stimulate our pelvic area, hip area, and lower lumbar, which is the area that actually the DEXA scans read. They read like the L1 through 4 because they can. The DEXA scan machine can only look at these 4 lumbar bones here. It cannot see the thoracic spine because the ribs are in the way, and it can't see L5 where you attach to the pelvis because the hip bones are in the way in the position of the pelvis. So the reading you get in a DEXA scan is these 4 lower lumbar vertebrae and the top of your leg bone, the neck of your leg bone. And so we focus a lot on those areas. And this is the most precarious area to fracture because the reduction in the quality of life and the reduction in the ability to take care of yourself would be immense. And this is really something we want to be protective of. So whenever I am thinking of what can I do today to keep my bones strong, I really put a lot of pressure in this part of my body. I demand, I pull, I push, and I stress my bones out so that they have to get stronger for me because I ask them to. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask for more from our body today. So let me just see, because I know I want to see if you said anything. Hip to daytime and sleeping hip hurts. Okay. All right, Loretta. Well, I have a hip replacement and I had hip issues and I had surgeries to repair my first hip issue, didn't work, hip collapse, and then had to have a hip replacement. So hips are definitely something I understand from are your hips functional and healthy and happy perspective? And then also, how can we create a lot of stimulation in that area to get stronger in our hips? So that is something we focus on, especially when I teach a class that is related to bone health, to osteoporosis. Okay, so for the practice today, we're going to need a couple of things. We're going to need a block or something close to this. So if you don't have a block, get a towel that you could roll up. We're going to need a strap. So go ahead and grab a strap, a belt, something that you have that you could use. Blanket. That's a very handy prop that we'll need. And then when we do the standing part of the practice, you're going to need to be near a wall or have a chair. And I would say that even if you have a very strong practice, it's really great to be safe. I cannot tell you how many classes I've been in over the years of yoga with the strong, as my teacher used to call them, the young and the restless. We would do crazy, like some of the super hard, powerful classes that I used to take. How often somebody, no matter how strong you are, can fall out of something, especially when you start to introduce the challenge of balance into your body. And we do introduce a lot of balance challenge in this class because we want to strengthen our joints and make them more receptive. So we're going to need a chair or a wall for the standing part of the practice. We're going to begin our practice today on the ground with a little bit of a chest opener. So for all the activities that we have in our lives throughout the day that cause our head to go forward, and then therefore wherever the head goes, the spine follows. So then the roundness can come into the next section, which is the thoracic spine. So we're going to do a little chest opener to begin in class to get a little opening in the body. And for this, I'd like us to use a blanket. For my own body, I feel this pretty strongly whenever I do this. And I don't really have pretty good posture, and I'm still able to get some work in my body here. Also, for those of you with back issues and even lower body issues, sometimes it is that you need to correct the spine to actually free up the tension up here, which will then translate to freeing up the tension down here. So you're going to take your blanket longwise. So take this like this way. And then, I don't even know if that sounds right, longwise. Whatever. Yes, I know how to speak. It's really interesting when you start to show up as a teacher in things and you're in front of people, you're so much more aware of the way you speak. And it's been very interesting for me. It's been a teacher in and of itself. So take your blanket, and the tighter you make this roll up, the tighter you roll up, the deeper the stretch will be in your spine, on your shoulders, and on your chest. So roll it up tightly if you want a pretty strong opener. And then if you happen to have some issues in your shoulders, you might want to not roll it up so tightly. So you choose which is appropriate for you. And then you're going to come to sit right on. So I'm not on the blanket. I have my tushy on the floor. It's not on the blanket. That blanket is right up against my tushy. And then I am going to turn to the side because this is an osteoporosis class. We want to make sure we don't put any pressure on the front of the spine. So I'm going to turn to the side to lengthen myself down onto the ground to keep my spine nice and open, and then to bring my spine onto the blanket. And you can push your feet into the floor, lift your tushy up so that you really add a little posterior tilt and lengthen your pelvis away from you. Then place your pelvis down on the ground. Knees are bent, feet are flat. And then for some of you, this may feel like too much pulling or tension in the neck. And you may find that your chin is pointing up and your nose is pointing towards the wall behind you. We want our nose to point straight up towards the sky so that we have our cervical spine in a nice long position. So really place yourself appropriately here, because this is some deep joint spine stretching and shoulder joint stretching. And so I'd like you to be placed correctly So we can actually be very effective in stretching the muscles of the spine. And if you need, you may need to fold the top of the blanket or fill in the space at the neck, or fold your blanket over, or if you have another blanket beside you, put it there. And then once you get to where you're going, which is to a place of opening, stretching the spine, stretching the shoulders and the chest. So bring yourself to this position. Eyes are closed, knees are bent, feet are flat. Let the feet be a little wider than the body. Allow the knees to fall in towards each other. Closing the eyes, bring your awareness to your body here. You can let your hands be on your belly at first. Start to close the mouth. Let the back teeth be separated. Breathe in through your nose. Feel the base of your spine, which is your sacrum bone, in the ground. Feel the blanket at the back of your spine, starting in the low back, all the way up the spine to the head. Hands are on the belly, mouth is closed. Breathe in through your nose and breathe all the way down to your belly. So you feel your hands moving up and down with breath. So let's do a little to warm up the chest and the shoulders. Taking the exhale. As you inhale, lift your left hand up. Keep the elbow bent if you can, and lift the left hand up. Try to touch the back of the hand towards the ground, and then exhale to bring your hand back onto your belly. Inhale, right hand reaches up and over slowly. You may notice a little bit of need for stabilizing your body as you feel like you're rocking on that prop. Inhale, left hand rises up. Try to get the hand to touch the floor if you can. Elbow is bent. Exhale back. Inhale up and open. Continue. If your shoulder doesn't like to lift so high, you can let your arm go out to the side. Explore different places that you place the back of your hand, and try to get the thumb to touch the ground when you lift your arm up. The eyes are closed, so I want you to feel, maybe you reach a little bit closer to above your head with your hand, and then maybe you start to reach farther away from your body, bending the elbow a lot on some of them and a little on other times. Just to explore the different areas of stretch in your arm. Then let's try to do both hands. Inhaling, letting your hands rise up. Try to let the back of the hands touch the ground. Try to let the thumb side of the hand touch the ground, the fingernails. Exhale back to your belly. Inhale, open. And exhale back. Inhale. Last one, you're going to lift your arms up. Bring your arms to the place where you feel the biggest, deepest stretch that feels manageable to hold for a few breaths. Let your arms relax. Try to create as much tension as you can, either in the chest, the shoulders. Press your heart up towards the sky to deepen that stretch. Press your tailbone into the ground and the head into the blanket. Mouth is closed, breathing in through your nose. Take 5 breaths here. When you finish that 5th breath, bring your feet closer together. You're going to roll onto a side. So roll onto the side that you're facing here so you can see. You roll onto your side, bring your knees up. The blanket is back behind your spine. Then clasp your hands behind your head. We're going to warm up the rotational muscles of the trunk. You're going to take an exhale with your hands together. Your knees are pointing forward. Exhale, and then inhale. Reach your elbow up towards the sky. Slide the shoulder blade towards the spine. And open your body. The blanket's behind you, so you're not going to go too big. This is not very big of a movement. Stretching the thoracic spine. As you inhale, think about your elbow reaching far away from you, straight up towards the sky, and then as far to the side as you can. Feel that stretch in the chest and the armpit area. Exhale. One more. Stay here. Push your heart forward, push your belly button to your spine, lengthen your tailbone away from you, stretching upper chest, postural muscles of the upper spine, and then exhale to come back to center. You're going to come back onto the blanket that's behind your body. You're going to roll to the other side. So the blanket stays behind your body. Your elbows come towards each other. You take an exhale. And as you inhale, you open up, leading with that tip of the elbow, opening up as much as you can. Feel the stretch in your chest. Exhale to come back. Inhale to open. Exhale back. Inhale, open. Stay here for a few breaths. Push your heart forward. Lengthen your tailbone away from you. Press your belly button towards your spine. And then exhale to come back. Bring yourself back up onto your blanket, onto your side. You're going to take your hand on the floor in front of you. You're going to look down towards the ground. Spread your fingers. You're going to use your hand to push up here. You're not going to lift with your head. Your hand is going to push into the floor so that you can bring yourself up and away from the floor. Let's take our blanket. So I'd like you to notice how you feel here. stretching and opening up the top of the body, and especially the thoracic spine. It's a really important part of our body for bone health, is that upper thoracic spine area. So let's go ahead and put the blanket back down on the ground. Bring yourself onto your buttocks and then onto your side. Reach your hand away and bring yourself back down onto the ground. So we stretch the upper spine and the upper body. We're going to stretch the lower body now. So have your feet be hip distance, a little wider actually than hip, or a little wider than body. Make sure your blanket is only underneath your head and neck. Take your arms out to the side, bending the elbows if you can, and if you have shoulder issues, you can keep your arms straight or a little lower. Exhale. Inhale, let your knees go towards the side. Exhale, push your belly button to your spine to come back up. Exhale, the opposite side. Inhale the opposite side. Exhale, belly button to the spine to come back up. You inhale when your legs move away from you. And you exhale, press your belly button to your spine to protect the low back when you bring your legs back up. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to contract to come back up to center. Inhale. Exhale. Bringing yourself back up to center. Let's take the legs all the way off the mat. Exhale. Inhale, let your legs go to the side. Exhale, back up to center. So you have a wider stance in your legs now. Stretching the hips, stretching the low back, the middle body. Keep your rib cage on the floor and let the lower body be what moves when you do this. You could lift your arms a little higher if that stretches your body. Pull your low ribs away from your pelvis. Really stretch the midsection. Stretching the abdominals. Next time you come to the left, stay there. Reach the right hand up and away. So hovering off the ground. Stretch your right side here. Lengthen that right thigh. Flex the right wrist. Reach that right hand long. Feel that stretch in your right side body. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's do the same thing on the left. Letting the legs go to the right. Lift the left hand off the ground. Stretch the left side. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back up to center. So now we have our body nice and stretched out. Let's draw the knees in one at a time and bending and unbending the legs, stretching the hamstrings, warming them up. The first posture we're going to do is bridge, which strengthens the back of the body. It's good for posture, for balance, good for spinal health. And when we come up, we're pushing away from the ground so the hamstrings activate. And for some of you who are prone to cramping, it can be a movement that brings a lot of cramps into the body. So when we start to warm up the muscles, lengthening and contracting them, we help to process minerals and bring blood flow and fluids into the muscles. So it's better to warm up before you actually start to use your body. And then let's go ahead and put your feet on the ground. Take your block, bring your block between your knees. Take your blanket away from the back of the head. Lift the head up, tuck the chin towards the chest. Place the head back down on the ground. Bend your elbows and slide the shoulder blades one at a time closer to the spine. Dig your elbows into the ground. Walk your feet as close as you get them to the body. Squeeze the block. Tilt the pelvis back, flatten the low back into the ground, and then let's peel your body off the ground. Once you start to lift your rib cage away from the floor, do not let your head look to the side. So close your eyes. Feel your rib cage moving away from the floor. Press your arms into the ground, the elbows and the upper arm bones. Squeeze the block, squeeze your tushy. Push your feet into the floor.
And breathe deeply here in your bridge posture. Pushing away from the floor strongly with the arms and the legs. Feel that activation of the muscles as you push away and turn on those stabilizing muscles of the spine and of the back. Press your arms into the ground, press your feet into the ground, lengthen your knees, squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Take one more breath. As you start to place your spine on the ground one at a time, release the tension in the upper body. Start to push the spine towards the ground. And then lift the heels off the ground. Tilt your pelvis so that you try to place the low back on the ground before the pelvis. Reach up for your blanket, put it back under your head, take the block to the side, and draw the knees into the chest. Rocking side to side. So we were pressing the back of the spine into itself, strengthening the back of the spine, which is the part of the spine that could withstand more compressive force from above. Let's take our strap. Take your strap. Let's draw the left leg in today. Draw the left leg in. Take your strap. Put your strap on your arch of your foot, and then straighten the leg. When we do this, it's called big toe pose, Supta Pada Gustasana. When we do this posture for osteoporosis and bone health, you want to keep your knee straight. That's an important aspect here. So you could keep the right knee bent or straight depending on how flexible your body is. Take your hands down the strap, wrap your hands around, pull the leg down into the socket. Feel that strong foundation in the left glute. If you'd like to straighten the right leg, you can, or you can leave that right leg bent. Pull the strap down. Now firm up the muscles of the left leg. Push the left leg away from you, and now guide the left leg towards the wall behind you. So opposing forces here. You're pushing it away with the muscles and pulling it towards the wall behind you with the strap. If you have your right leg straight, press your right leg into the ground. That'll give you maybe a little more access to go deeper in that stretch. Pulling on the pelvis, creating bone building stimulation to the attachment of the origin of the hamstring muscle group. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. We're going to take ourselves into the adductor stretch, Supta Pada Gustasana number 2. These are forward folds done safely on the ground so you don't bend your spine. Take your strap in your left hand, take your hand out to the side. Keep your leg pretty high here. If you're newer or don't have a lot of flexibility, you may want to have a block handy here to support the weight of your leg when you come out to the side. Lengthen your leg out to the side. Keep it up really high. So if your leg at any point goes forward, stop. So you want your leg to stay up. So as it's lengthening out, only lengthening out if you can keep it high. The goal is not to get towards the ground. The goal is to lengthen the inner thigh of the left leg far away from the top of the right leg. Keep your left waist nice and long. Press into this arch part of the strap. Deep breaths. One more breath. Bringing that leg back up to center. Bend the right leg if it was straight. Take your strap off. Draw the right leg in. Put the strap on the right arch. And let's stretch this side. Slide your hands down, wrap your hands around, really draw the leg down so you feel it rooted in the hip joint, nice deep set hip joint. Keep the knee straight, straighten the left leg if that's okay for your body. Firm up that right leg, push the right leg away, and then direct the right leg towards the wall behind you. Knee is straight. Deep breaths here. Make sure you keep a nice long waist, long right waist. Create as much tension as you can handle, pushing the leg away and pulling it towards the back. One more breath. And then go ahead and release the tension. Take the strap now in the right hand. Take the strap in the right hand, keeping that leg pretty high, elevated as you lengthen the leg out to the side. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Long right waist. Right inner thigh is as far away from the left top thigh as possible. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back up to center. Take your strap off. Bring your strap onto the side. Bring your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. And then all the way onto your side. Cradle your head in your hand. Take your hand on the ground, pushing away from the floor. You're going to bring yourself up to your knees. And then we're going to come onto all fours, taking your knees onto the mat or to your blanket. And then you're going to bring your hands so that walk them a little farther away from your body. Make sure you're nice and long here. You don't want to have your hands too close to your body. You want your hands to be far away so that you have a nice distance here in your body. You're going to take the palm, face the palm towards your face. Take an exhale. And then inhale, rotate open as far as your body will go, and exhale back. Inhale. Exhale. Go slow. Feel that deep stretch in your trunk, adding rotation. More spinal stimulation and more work for spinal health. Bring yourself all the way open. Take your hand, place the back of the hand on the sacrum, push the belly button up towards the spine, and try to open the shoulder here. Deep breaths. And then go ahead and bring your hand down. Your other hand, palm is up towards you. Exhale. Inhale to open. Exhale back down. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Stay here. Flip your hand. The back of the hand goes on the sacrum bone. Press the belly button of the spine, lengthen the tailbone down, and rotate your trunk. Push your heart forward. And then bring yourself back out. Let's take our hands nice and long. We're going to do a spinal stretch here. We're going to bend very deep in our hips, lengthening the spine. You're not rounding your spine. So I want you to take your hands forward, and then I want you to bring your head down first towards the ground. Keep your spine long. You're not in a child's pose. You do not have your tushy on your heels. You're not rounding your back here. You're lengthening your back, stretching your spine long. Take your fingers, walk your fingers away from you. Feel that stretch underneath the chest and the arms. And the weight of the pelvis is moving back. So your pelvis should not be above your knees. Your pelvis should be moving back towards the heels, but still hovering in the air. Let your forehead touch the ground. Shoulder blades are on the back of the spine to make sure the spine doesn't round. Take deep breaths. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself all the way up.
Bring yourself up, take your hands. If you could slip your feet under and sit on your feet. Sit on your feet like this to stretch the bottoms of your feet. If your knees will not bend, do that up a little higher so that your feet are flipped under. You're stretching your feet. So either sitting on them or being up. We're going to start to stretch our body in a twist in the seated position because we're going to do some of that when we're standing. So take your blanket, fold your blanket in two, and bring that to the top of your mat. And then you're going to come and sit on it. So we'll do the more gentle twist here. You're going to need your block, and your block will go on the ground behind you. So come to the very front edge of your blanket so that you actually feel that you're moving forward. It helps to set up the pelvis and the spine. Reach under, grab a hunk of flesh, and move a hunk of flesh back on one side and on the other. Legs are nice and straight. And then you're going to take your hand on the block behind you. You're going to take, let's go to the left side first. So left leg is bent. Hold on to the left leg with the right arm. And when you hold on and you pull on that leg, that lets you go from a collapsed spine to a lengthened spine. Shoulders are down, shoulder blades are towards each other. Let's take an inhale. Push your right foot into the floor. Right foot's very active. Exhale. And then inhale, low ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs. Rotate, rotate, rotate into a twist. Lower your shoulders. Slide the shoulder blades towards each other. Press your heart forward. Deep breath down to your belly. Take one more breath. Go ahead and bring yourself out. We're going to go to the other side. Stretch your leg. Bend your right leg. Take your left hand on the right leg. Take your right hand on the block behind you. Push down. Push your left leg into the ground. Get nice and tall. Lower the shoulders. Slide them towards each other. Exhale. And inhale. Lower ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Deep breaths here. Use the breath to come down into the belly and feel how that can maybe start to move your spine a little in that lower lumbar or release congestion in the lower lumbar area. Lower your shoulders, slide the shoulder blades towards each other, lift your heart, lengthen your spine. One more breath. And then go ahead and slowly bring yourself out. Take your legs wide here, really wide. Wide legs. You're at the edge of your blanket. At this point, my body almost fell forward. Helps to keep you a little safe. Nice long back here. And feel the stretch. For some of you, it may be pretty intense. Hamstrings, adductors. If you do have a pretty limber body and you can keep your spine nice and long and your throat open and lifting off the front of your spine, you could bend the hip joint to come forward a little to deepen the stretch if that's appropriate for you. It is not any of this. Nothing like that is happening. The forward movement comes from the hips, not from the spine. And it's not for all. Usually in a group class, when I'm in a group class teaching this, there's a lot of sound effects because people are like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm so tight, or this is so intense. So notice what you notice. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Let's take our blanket onto the floor. We're going to do a plank posture, which is a total body, front body, really strong pose. I love this one. I think this is a great one. This is one of those power moves where you get a lot of muscles at one time and you really get to strengthen the front of the hip joint here, which is super important for a lot of aspects of our body, whether you have osteoporosis or bone density issues or not. Let's take the foot back one at a time. Bring yourself up into plank. If this is too intense for you, spreading the fingers, pressing the fingers in. If you need to put your lower legs on the floor in the modification, do that. Build up to this. Build up to being able to come all the way up. I could not do this in my 30s when I was super strong because I didn't have the support muscles in my joints. I mostly had my big movers that I worked on, the glutes and the quads and core, but I wasn't really strong in the deepest layers of my stabilizing muscles, the way that you get when you practice yoga all the time. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself down, bring yourself all the way up, shake your arms. So that's the thing. Yoga has an amazing way of strengthening our joints. And that's where we do all that work. We push and pull on the bones at the joints, and that's where we create the stimulation of the bones to get stronger. And that's where the fractures are happening, right? So in the spine, the wedge fractures is because on one joint and the other joint are pushing into each other too much. And then that femur neck and where that hip goes into the socket, that's another precarious place. So we actually do the work in this practice in the places that matter the most. If you have socks on, I'd recommend that you take your socks off, even if they are cute little yoga person socks. Somebody in yoga postures. Tree, dancer, warrior two. Tree, dancer, and warrior two. All right. So we're going to come forward. We're going to stand up, bring a foot forward, walk your foot pretty far forward, flip the back toes under, take both hands on top of the thigh, let your palms touch. Let your gaze be up, your spine is long. Inhale back, and then exhale forward and push yourself up onto that standing leg, which requires glute strength. And then we're going to get our space nice and ready for us to practice. So move your blanket off to the side. Go ahead and grab a chair. Grab a chair or grab a wall. So if you have precarious balance, I would rather you have a chair so that you would come lower into your posture, really bending the knees, than to not go so deep. So to not go so deep because you're worried about balance, I'd rather the deeper you go in the joints, the more you load into the joints, the more stimulation you create in the joints. So let's first come into a triangle. And for those of you that are pretty strong, you may want to use a block if you have a lot of flexibility in your body. For some of you, being in a chair would be best. Take your feet really wide here. So the wider the better. Maybe be near a wall if you need that. Wider feet. Shoulders are forward, they're up, they're back, they're down. Inhale to raise your arms. The front toes point under the chair and the back toes move away from you. Keep your legs straight. Inhale to reach away, bending at that front hip joint. And then bring your hand onto the chair and your other hand up towards the sky. Now this is the hip joint bend. So for those that have flexible legs, you may be able to come down a little deeper into the triangle. You could turn your palm up and over towards your head, reaching up, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Feel the pulling and the stretch, the tension appropriately in your body. Push your feet into the floor. Find that alignment in your body. Long spine, rotate your trunk forward. Take one more breath. Keep your legs straight and bring yourself all the way up and out. Feet are forward. Let's move the props to the other side. 30-second hold is a good place to be to create a good amount of stimulation in our bones. Legs are wide. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and down. Hands reach down, and then inhale with resistance to bring yourself up. This is part of posture. When we raise our arms in these standing postures, we actually are strengthening postural muscles of the upper back. Bring your toes under the chair and the back toes away from you. Reach, reach, reach long, bending that front hip joint. Keep that front leg straight. Bring your hand onto the chair. Open your body forward or down onto the block. Not bending your spine, but bending your hip a little deeper to get down onto the block. Smile. Hand reaches up and over. Deep breaths. Fill your torso with breath. Take one more breath. Push your feet into the ground and bring yourself all the way up. Come into the warrior two and the side angle. For some of you that can get a little lower, having a block may be something to have handy. For the warrior, for the side angle, bring your legs really wide here. Toes lift up to the side and the back heel moves away from you. Nice firm foot foundation. Grab the floor with your feet. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. Inhale to raise your hands. Push away from that back pinky toe edge as you bend the front leg. You load into the hip and the knee in that front leg. Keep your body over your pelvis. So make sure your body did not go forward when you bend. That's why I really want you to push down into that back pinky toe edge. Look over your front middle finger. Push your feet into the floor. Get nice and tall. Lengthen your spine. Press your arms back. Lower your shoulders. Deep breaths here in your warrior two. Take one more breath. And then unbend your leg. Keep your legs wide here. Let your toes come forward. Pick up your foot, move your foot away, and the back heel away. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and down. Fingers reach long. Push away from that pinky toe edge of the back foot. As you inhale to lift your arms, push away from the back foot and bend that front knee and hip joint to come into loading down into your warrior two. When you get into your warrior two, find the ground, push your feet, grab the floor, push into the ground, bring that energy up to the pelvis, and then lengthen your spine. Slide the shoulder blades towards each other, lower the shoulders, reach long in your hands, and push your arms back. Deep breaths. Lots of hip and pelvic stimulation. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself all the way up. Bring yourself out for a second, shake your legs. So there's been some that I've been speaking with lately about getting up and down off the ground and how that's becoming more challenging. And we lose muscle strength and bone strength as we age. And when we bend our joints, when we're going to a functional movement, that's some of the stuff that we start to lose. So when you do these standing poses, the warrior two, the side angle, when you're bending your hips, loading in your hips, we're strengthening the aspects of our hips for functional movement to be able to move up and down, to always have that ability in our lives, that functionality of that movement in our body. So yes, we're strengthening our hips here and our pelvis and strengthening our bones. We're also strengthening the functional aspects of movement that is necessary to live this happy, healthy, active life. Okay, so think of all that when you're in it and it's like, oh, the challenge. Take your legs nice and long. We're going to use the block for those of you that can go down a little lower here in your side angle. Feet are wide, toes are forward, shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. Let's take the front toes away from you, the back heel away. Push your feet into the ground. Inhale, push away from the back edge of the pinky toe. As you bend the front leg, lift the arms, load into the front hip and knee. Looking over that middle finger, reach long, take that front hand on top of your thigh and the other hand up towards the sky. Side angle. If you could go deeper, see if you could bend a little deeper. If you could take your hand in front of your knee, try that and get long in your spine and rotate your trunk. Or bring your block, come even deeper and find a little deeper rotation in your body. Push your feet into the ground. Don't lose the foot. Don't lose the tension in your feet. Lots of adductor stretching on that front leg. Take one more breath. Keep the front knee bent. Bring yourself back into your warrior two. And then up. Woo! I will be feeling this for sure. Definitely going to feel that in my body. Toes are forward. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and down. Toes move away. Heel moves away. Grab the floor with the feet. Inhale, push away from that back pinky toe edge as you load into your warrior two. Reaching long, bring your hand onto your thigh, arm up. Deeper if you can. Straight arm if you can, lengthen your torso, or down onto the block and go deeper in that hip and knee. Long spine. Push that front heel into the ground. That's really going to strengthen the glutes or the back of that front leg, which is going to be very helpful for being able to get up and down forever. Take one more breath. Bring yourself back up to the warrior two and bring yourself out. Shake, shake, shake. Let's bring ourselves into the twisted triangle. So this is one of the strongest postures in this practice. We're going to rotate over the front leg. So whatever leg is forward is the direction that you rotate your upper trunk. So bring the chair in front of you. Bring your foot. So I don't want your foot to come too close to the chair because I want us to not load onto that front foot too much. So bring your toes right flush to the edge of the chair and then bend that standing leg to take your back foot back about 2 feet, 2.5 feet. And then the distance between your feet are more like either a railroad track or a little closer together. Closer together is a little bit more challenging, more rotation in the body. Then you're going to take your legs nice and straight. You're going to lengthen your spine, push your feet into the floor, and bending in that hip joint to bring yourself forward. Reach long and diagonal and across you to let your fingertips touch the chair. I'd rather you not put your whole hand unless this is really a challenge with balance, because I'd like you to be weighted in your legs here and not leaning on your hands. So push your back foot, your back heel into the ground, then start to rotate your trunk open. You could take this hand, put the back of the hand on the sacrum, open up that chest, take that front hand pretty far forward, push your feet into the floor. See what happens if you lift that hand off the chair to make sure that you're in your legs. And then rotating your trunk, push your feet, push your heels into the ground, lengthen and rotate. Legs are straight, no bend in that front knee. Take one more breath. And then to come out right away, take the front knee and bend the front knee. Take that tension out. Keep your head up as you bring yourself forward and out. Let's take the chair to the other side. You're going to bring the foot forward so the toes are underneath the chair. This is definitely a stronger practice today. So this may be something that you feel in your body for the next day or two. If you feel it for 1 or 2 days, that's okay. That's muscular. If you feel anything beyond that, then you know you need to back off and not go so hard. And you know, become your own guide on how deeply you should go into postures. So bring the front foot forward. The back foot is back about 2.5 feet. Take your hands on your waist. Bending at your hip joint, your legs are straight. You bring yourself forward. Reach the hand diagonal and long across from you. Push your feet into the floor, lengthen your spine, and then add that rotation as you open up your body over that front leg. Take your hand off for a second to make sure that you're in your legs and not in your hands. Take the back of the hand on the sacrum, push the belly button to the spine, and then spiral open. See if you feel this all the way down in your calf, in that back leg. There's a whole spiral action taking place with this. This is one of the strongest postures we do for osteoporosis. Take one more breath. And then to come out, you're going to bend the front knee. Keep your head up, spine long, bring yourself all the way up. Shake your legs. So we'll do the tree, and it's kind of not fair to do the tree after we've done so much strengthening work with our legs and turn them into jelly. So you're going to do the best you can, and you're going to take that into account on where you're coming to in this posture. So let's take the feet. We'll do a mountain pose to stack our joints and to come into alignment. So mountain pose Tadasana. The toes are in alignment. The big toes are closer together than the heels. And you are closer together. You're not going to be body distance. This is hip distance. The front part of your hip is right in here as that leg bone comes up and angles inward. Take your hands down alongside your body. Reach your hands super strongly down towards the ground, like you have weights on your fingers. Push your hands back so they're alongside of your body. Feel the left foot on the floor, the right foot on the floor. Your ankles are in alignment, your knees. Push the top thigh bones back. And then the pubis bone, which is this bottom bone here, lift that pubis bone up towards the lower ribs. Lengthen your tailbone down towards the ground in between your two heels. And then be tall in your spine, tall in your torso.
Push your head back so it's coming out of your spine. Slightly tuck the chin down and back. Hands are pushing backwards. Hands are pushing down. Tadasana Mountain. If you're feeling pretty secure here, let's all take our belly. Imagine your torso is a tube of toothpaste, and the toothpaste is in the lower part of your belly area. So squeeze your belly and squeeze the toothpaste up under the ribs into the rib cage. For those that feel pretty secure here, you could try to close your eyes. The eyes are a part of balance. When you take the eyes away, that can fortify and stimulate balance receptors. Take one more breath. Take your hands, keep them where they are, but soften them just a little. Push your body onto one foot, come onto the tippy toes of the other foot. Knee is out to the side, and bring your foot up in between the knee and the ankle. Push into the ground, get tall in your body here. Find something to stare at that doesn't move. And focus on that as you hold your tree. You could bring your arms up a little bit if you'd like. There will be some wobbling, that's part of it, that's okay. Take one more breath. Slowly bring your knee forward and bring yourself back into your Tadasana. Hands down, look down with your feet if you'd like to find that alignment. Grab the floor with the feet. Push your body onto the other foot, tippy toes, knee to the side. Pick your foot up and put it in between the knee and the ankle. Find a focal point. Make sure you're not dumping in the hips, so push away from the floor and be nice and tall. Hands into whatever position you'd like. Try to smile. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Shake. Shake. Let's take the block. So bending, let's do a little safe bending. Take your feet a little wide. Push your tushy back. Keep your spine long. Don't let your knees come forward. You might need to train yourself to do this. Have a bend in your knees. You might need to be training yourself here. A lot of us do not bend properly or safely. We bend at our spine and not in our hip joint. So this takes a little retraining for many. So you're going to get bend down with a flat back, bending your knee, bending your hip to grab your block and bring yourself up. So we're going to take our block like this in our hands, right? So the long ways, not short like this and not middle, but the long way of the block. You're going to bring your hands in front of you. We're going to come into chair. So you're going to bring your big toes together and your knees could be together here. You're going to start to push the tushy back, push the tushy back, push the tushy back, push the tushy back, bend the knees, bend the hips, and then inhale to come into your chair posture. Squeeze the block, keep your hands, your arms straight, bending as deep as it feels appropriate for your body. Lift your toes off so that you know that you're in your heels and you're in the back of the body. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. All right. Take your chair off.
So go ahead and get your props to come down to the ground. When you come down, make sure you're nice and long in your body. You bring yourself down onto the ground safely. Bring yourself forward. Take your hand nice and long and bring yourself down. Draw the knees into the chest. And then bring the legs and the arms up. Let your joints settle. We're going to do the last posture of the day, which is Shavasana. This is a nice one. This is integration, allowing everything you just did to settle into your system. And body and mind. So anything that came up for you during the practice, like, oh my gosh, this is hard, or I'm not strong, or I don't have good balance, or all that negative self-talk and everything too that came up. We want to release all of that, all the things we think we're not. And we want to do the Shavasana to come out the other side as not any of that negative stuff, only good stuff and change stuff. And it's a death and a rebirth process, the Shavasana corpse posture. So we're reborn as whatever we did today in the practice. So bring yourself into whatever Shavasana feels good for you in your body. Bring yourself in, close your eyes, and start to focus on your breath.
Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, viname akame. Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, viname akame. Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, viname akame. Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, viname akame. Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, viname akame. Govinde mo kande, udare apare, hariyam kariyam, Kariyam Nirame Kame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Kariyam Kariyam Nirame Kame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirnamaya Kame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirnamaya Kame Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Nirnamaya Kame. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to bring movement into your hands and your feet, and then into your ankles, your wrists, your knees as you bend your knees, your elbows as you draw your knees into your chest, rocking side to side, and then all the way onto your side. Cradling your head, take your hand and bring yourself up to the seated position. In a seated position, keeping the eyes closed, let's take the hands, rub the hands together, bring the hands together and press the heart to the hands to the heart. Nice tall spine. We're going to close with sound, making the sound, a humming sound. Let's take a big exhale to create space in your body. A big inhale. We bow in a mutual recognition of each other. Namaste. I would definitely drink some water after today's practice. Pretty strong practice, a lot of deep joint bending and a lot of pulling today, a lot of stretching. So a lot of joint movement. So drink a lot of fluids to help process whatever was dislodged and put into your system. Movement is part of our detoxification pathways, so it can bring up stuff when we do some of this deeper work. And I hope that you feel good and you feel your bones getting stronger as we speak. I am definitely going to feel this. I don't know if my intention was to be so strong. That was 13 postures today, which is along the lines of the most that I usually do. I usually get to about 8 to 11, it seems, on average, but today that was 13. So I hope you feel okay. And Loretta, as your first class, I hope that you're going to be okay if you're still here after that. You're welcome. Good, Donna. Thank you. So I don't know if Loretta's still here, but I'll speak to anyone with hip issues. Got to get your hips strong, and you got to go really nice and slow at your pace.
I'm still glad you're here, Sue. Carol, thank you. Great. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm here on Saturday. I teach stress reduction on Saturday with a focus on releasing muscular tension in the physical body and then mental tension in the mind. You're welcome, Tatiana. Great. I know, Sharon, what the heck? I didn't plan that. It was, although I hope we didn't load too deeply so that we weren't too challenged. Good. All right, ladies. Well, it's great to be back. So happy to be getting my body stronger with you and you getting your body stronger, because we need a strong body to keep living a great, happy, healthy life. We really do. And I know what it's like to not have it. That's why I'm adamant about teaching it so that it doesn't happen for you. Being broken, being weak and fragile is not fun. Very hard to live the life of your dreams when you're in that state. So keep practicing. I'm here 5 classes a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I'm here. No excuses. Show up when I do. Put it on your calendar that time if you want to do live. And then, of course, there's a lot of recorded classes. So thank you so much. Happy New Year. Patty, yes, you will. And Patty, about the getting up and getting down, that front leg when we're bending is really how we strengthen those muscles to get up and get down. And just a little funny caveat here. My husband has been working out again. He just turned 60. And he was telling me he can get up from the ground on one side, but he can't get up on the other. And I'm like, wait a minute, your wife is a yoga therapist. You need to work with me. But you know how it goes. It's different when it's family or friends. All right, everyone, have a great day. And I'll see you in the next class. Bye.